news break.
Yeah.
News break. All right, Zach. Here is our interview from what's Mr. Crawley's first name? Warren C. Crawley. I keep wanting to say. All right, Warren C. Crawley for dinner. First, we'll start with Dr. Steve Eccles. Dr. Eccles, you've spoken before about this in public. This is not anything new for you, but you still seem very impressed by the story of Mr. Crawley. Why does it mean so much to you?
I think it's just the message for our day, and as I said tonight, it's the expression of what Christian love is all about. And that's really the mission of our school, to send out ambassadors of Christian love. And so to have that as part of our founding to us is just so very special. It's a story we want to share.
Such a big goal ahead of you. You're not a stranger to those, and you serve a big God who takes care of that. But this still has to be daunting when you look at how big it is, and the reminder of it's too big for human.
Well, that's it exactly. And, really, if we're not doing something that's God-sized, we're wasting our time. So this is something only God can do, and he'll get the glory for it.
All right, thank you. Fred Stokes, a keynote speaker tonight. Really a great message tonight, reminding everybody of their talent, their God-given talent, and what they're going to do with it. You shared a lot from your personal experience, and you talked about how the generosity of a few or a couple made you successful or helped make you successful. Talk about that.
Well, you know what? I still want to just echo what Dr. Eccles was saying about love, and that is the key. I mean, you can prove that, if you love me, he says, even in the Bible, keep my commandments, and not to be too biblical, but I mean, for what he's doing, Dr. Eccles at that school for this season, and to have this whole thing come around right now is amazing. And that's why I'm glad to be a part of it. It's great for me to be back home with my own hometown, but in this occasion, I was just overwhelmed, man. If I think about it too much, it just gets me emotional.
One of the greatest things about this, the legend, is that of his life, is that he gave in a time when he was very much on the end of oppression and persecution, having experienced it as a slave himself, and then having come up in a time when, as mentioned before, his kids would not have been able to benefit from the school. We come into tonight and we see a very diverse group supporting a man's legacy, who was in his own way a visionary of his time.
Well, you know what, again, and not because he's here, standing here, but I did read up and look at what Dr. Eccles, because when I went back and did my internship at Bruton Parker, and Dr. Smith was still there at the time, and he what I say about life is you carry a baton. It's almost like a relay race. You run so far in the race and you pass that baton off, and in that race, strategically, you got your faster runners at the end to give you a better chance to win. But you still run your portion of the race. And I think it's that same way in life. Dr. Smith did his part for Bruton Parker. Dr. Eccles is running his race. And I believe, I'm not saying that it wouldn't have been, but he had to also have the same mindset as he communicated with Mr. Crawley's family, the great-great-grandkids, to say, yeah, let's embrace this. Let's embrace this, not just for what he's did, but for what it can do for our time and our society now. Because, man, we're in a strange moment. I think we're in a strange moment where, depending on the mindset of the people involved, meaning us in our time, 100 years from now, what are people going to be saying about us and our opportunity?
How about going back even farther to the beginning of that race when Mr. Crawley first handed off the baton for the very first time, and so to speak?
I don't know if he, again, going back to I think he just did it for love. I don't think he did it thinking of any, return on investment, so to speak. I think there was sincerely. I mean, we talk about love and the need. I just think that's why he did it, plain and simple.
But isn't that, using your analogy, isn't that the race? You start, you're not concerned about where it's going. You're concerned about advancing in any way, and he advanced for the kids who needed it then. It was such a selfless act. But again, in using your analogy, it's almost as if that's the beginning, in many ways, of the great race that everybody today, generations down the road, over 100 years later, get to experience.
That's exactly right. And I just want to make sure that I run my race to that point where, when it's said and done, I can be like the real athletes. He passes the baton, or she passes that baton, and she cheers for her brother or her sister. And right now, it's our time. We're in this season. It's our life. And what we do with it, I think, is pivotal.